Channel. To those of you, I'm fairly new to this. My name is Catherine. I'm called Cat for short, and I live in Darwin in the Northern Territory, Australia, with my husband and our 2-year-old son. So basically, I am starting this, as you can see, I am pregnant with our second boy. So I'll be having 2 boys. And as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about me being diagnosed with Vasa. I got my water and my notebook. I went online and I wrote down as much as I could. I've been on Facebook pages for it. There's a Vasa. If you're watching this and you've recently been diagnosed, there is a Facebook page called Vasa Previa Awareness, where there's mums all over the world that have been diagnosed with it, and you can talk to them. So, and you can talk about which one you've been diagnosed with, and there's people in there who have already had their BP. BP is short for Vasa Previa, so they've already had their BP babies. So it's really helpful getting advice from them. But first, I'm going to go into how it all started. So right now I am 27 weeks and 3 days pregnant with our second boy. And back in, what month are we in? April? Yeah, April. We're in April. So all the way back in like February. Yeah, all the way back in February I had our 20-week ultrasound. The halfway ultrasound where you can find out the sex and stuff, and she told us we were having a boy, and then she was looking at all the other stuff because my firstborn Sora is a C-section. So they had a few things and I wanted to go for a VBAC. So that's a vaginal birth after C-section. So there was a few things they wanted to check if I was eligible to go for a VBAC. So she was looking at all sorts of things, and she was trying to work out. It was taking a lot longer, I realized, from what I remember with our firstborn. And she was trying to, she said, I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to find where the cord insertion to the placenta is. I can see it here. And she said, I don't want to miss anything. I'm really sorry. And she just kept going, and then a lady came in and wanted to send her on lunch break. And I'm guessing because she actually wanted to stay, because she wanted some advice as well, and the lady took over. She said, I actually want to stay because I want to see where this cord is. And thinking back, I think she was thinking something was wrong. So she was trying to find it, and then things got a bit intimidating. They brought in a girl. They heard, because the lunchroom was next door, so they brought in a girl who works with complicated pregnancies upstairs. And the lady kept reassuring me, saying, we're just trying to find out what's happening with this cord. We don't want to miss anything for the doctors upstairs. So she came in and she started looking. And I've had her a few times since being diagnosed with this, and she has a very like not blank expression. I can't think of the word for it, but nothing that would really worry you. So she was just there going, So there was her, there was our first one, the one that came in to take over her. They brought in a radiologist and somebody else. So there was 5 people in this room, and honestly, I knew something was wrong. Just by the way that one person was looking at it, she was just like, crap. She had an expression on her face that made me worry, because I was looking at each of their faces, and there was only one that was a bit like, crap, I think I know what this is. And then they did the vaginal one, the stick thing that goes up, and they had another look, and yeah, I said, oh, I think that's there. And they said, oh, we're going to send this upstairs to one of the girls and see what they think. So we went out into the waiting room, and by now we've been here nearly just over an hour at the hospital. And she came over, she said, don't worry, the radiologist came over and said that a girl from the 6th floor, which is labour and delivery, wanted to talk to us. So we went up, and she ended up getting called off to emergency surgery, so she wasn't even there when we got up there. In the span of 10 minutes, she got called away. So we ended up talking to somebody else once they worked out everything, and they were talking to the high-risk doctor, but she was busy at that moment, so they gave her my number and they called me back later. But the doctor that we was talking to kind of explained it a bit, what they thought was happening. They didn't give me Vasa Previa there, but they might have already known, I don't know. And then she ended up calling me. I went back in for another ultrasound a week later, and they did another ultrasound. They did the insert one as well, and then the high-risk doctor for the hospital here said she wanted to talk to us in her office. So that's when I knew, and so did my husband, that we knew that something was up. So she took us in and started talking to us, and told us that I had Vasa Previa. So I'm just gonna consult my notes so I don't get stuff wrong. So if you haven't heard of it, I've never heard of it before this. It's a very rare pregnancy condition. It only affects 1 in 2,500 pregnancies a year. So it is very rare, and it mainly is searched for with previous C-section patients, IVF babies. If you have multiples, I think it was uterine or surgery, they have a look for it there too. So it can pop up in anybody. So I'm just going to see if I can insert images here on what it looks like, because I have Vasa Previa and something called VCI, which is a voluptuous cord insertion, voluptuous cord insertion as well. And from what I've gotten from the Facebook page, that is type 1 Vasa Previa. There's 2 types. The doctor hasn't actually said what type I am. I've just gotten this from the Facebook page from some lovely girls. So basically, Vasa Previa is when the fetal blood vessels cross or run near the internal opening of the cervix, and they do run a risk of rupture as they are unsupported by the umbilical cord or the placenta. So basically, I'm going to use a pillow as an example. Here's the placenta, she was explaining to me. The cord usually goes into here. This is my VCI cord, which is caused it. The cord goes here, but mine's are gone to the side. And instead of going around to insert into a baby belly button, it's inserted into the wall first and gone along into where the membranes and the vessels are, going along and then inserting. So, does that sound right? So the placenta's cord is attached here, it's going around, so it's into the baby, and instead of inserting into the placenta here, okay, got mixed up. So it's inserted into the baby belly button, and when going to the placenta, instead of inserting here, it's gone here, and it has attached to the blood vessels and membranes along the uteral wall that lead to the placenta. So instead of being inside the umbilical cord where they're supposed to be, they're on the outside. And it's not great. It's not a great situation, but my doctor has said that because my placenta's in the back, which is where it is in the area where it's supposed to be, so I'm not a high risk bleeder, which is one thing that can happen from this. If your placenta runs too low, like, it can cause bleeding with this, and it's either my blood or baby blood. It's scary being diagnosed with it, I will say, because she was saying that it has a, she said that it has a good survival rate when diagnosed, but when it's missed, it has catastrophic. It can result in stillbirth or cerebral palsy or other brain conditions. So it's not ideal. When I heard about it and she was talking about it, I really did want to burst into tears because I was like, no. Really? 1 in 2,500 pregnant people. Sorry if you can hear the birds outside. And me. I was like, yay. So I recently had our second ultrasound for it, and which just confirms it again, because it's usually found at the 20-week one. It gets confirmed. You get, instead of going to a normal doctor, I still have gone to normal doctors and normal midwives, but before they do anything and all my test results go straight to the high risk doctor, and she's really nice. And the ultrasound girl who's also taking care of me and running all my ultrasounds, she's the one from the first ultrasound that they brought in that works upstairs, so she's doing it. And they actually said during the ultrasound that it's lucky that it's us doing this, because a lot of other people, well, some of the others wouldn't know what they're looking at. That's how rare this thing is. So I really just want to do this video to go through my whole process, because the first thing I did when I found out about it, I went to YouTube to see if I could go through someone else's videos to see how theirs went. And I didn't really find a lot, mainly doctors talking. I think there was 2 other girls. One girl, hers ended up correcting itself, so I really wanted to do a video based on what my experience is going to be like. She said I'm going back in a month's time. I'll be 31 weeks at the time, and she said to prepare for possible hospitalization. I will be admitted and having a C-section around 35-36 weeks, just because of where my cords are. Because when I went in for my ultrasound, they did the normal ultrasound. The main vessel, like the big main vessel, was I think 2.5 centimeters away, because it's cleared from being VP when it goes away, goes above 2 centimeters. And it's different everywhere. Some of it's 2, some of it's 5. But I already asked if it didn't clear, can I still go for a C-section? Excuse me. And she said, yeah, sure. So, so they did that. And when she came in, because it was just the ultrasound girl first, and then the doctor came in, the high-risk doctor, and they were looking at all the vessels and stuff, and you can see them highlighted on the screen. The blue one was the umbilical cord, and the red is vessels. And it's really interesting to look at, and it's quite interesting that they know what each of these cords are. Like, they knew, they were talking about a venous vessel and something else, and they knew what they were. And I was like, this is impressive. That's pretty cool that you guys know what they are, because I have no idea what I'm looking at. So But I knew straight away when she went down to that area that they were still there. But she was saying 2.5 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 2.2, all that. So I was like, sounds like I'm probably going to be cleared. But part of the policy for VP is that you get a vaginal insertion too, where they bring out the big stick with the knobby thing at the end. So they did that, and that's when their faces were a bit like, And there is one that there are by the ultrasound. It wasn't showing them. They were closer than what they looked on the ultrasound. There's one vessel or vein that is only 9 millimeters away from my cervix. So that doesn't sound very good, and I'm not tempted to look at a ruler for that at all, because it'll make me cry. And so after all that, because I didn't say that in the ultrasound, we had to go to the office afterwards, and that's when she told us that when I come back in at 31 weeks, they'll do me another ultrasound. They'll do another, and I keep doing that. Why I keep doing that? It's very pirate. They'll do another insertion scan as well, and it's with a color Doppler, so they can see which every vein, artery, vessel, umbilical cord, where everything is. It gives them a greater idea. But she said to be prepared in the coming weeks after that to be admitted into the hospital. Which I had to, I'm not gonna cry. I had to control tears then, because as much as I don't want to be admitted, I know I have to be. Just because, I'm sorry. Okay, just because these vessels, I am fairly close to the hospital. I can go to our window over here and I can see the hospital and I can see the parking structure next to it. I can be there in less than 5 minutes if I need to be. But the only way to save our son is basically if something were to happen, my water was to break, contractions. Because once the contractions happen, the cervix can start to slowly wilt away. What's the word for it? I don't know. Because you can have painless contractions, and it can cause the cervix to soften and start to dilate, and it can't happen with me at all. It can. Miracles have happened where the cervix has dilated and there's been ruptures and the babies have been fine. But they're not going to run that risk with me. So my water's not allowed to break. But yeah. So I do know eventually I will have to go in. She was talking about 32, 31, 32, or I can come in at 33 or 34. So anytime after that, and have if nothing happens in that time, because you can go earlier. Like, everyone knows you can have early labor. When you're pregnant, you can go into labor earlier, so they can monitor the labor, they can try and make it go away while being monitored, so they have all the equipment there. So, sorry, there's a plane, not a plane, yeah, plane's going over. But yeah, I basically need to be there for amount of time, so if anything was to happen, they have the they have a greater chance to save him, because if I was at home, the chances of him being a stillbirth, are quite high. If they can save him, but they have a greater chance of saving him if I was in the hospital. And it's just, yeah, like I said, I already have a son, and I'm a stay-at-home mum to him, so. I said I wasn't gonna cry. I'm sorry. I didn't miss anything, did I? So. Yeah, for anyone watching this who's wondering, oh, I'm so sorry. Probably wiping mascara all over my face and everything. So I'm gonna try and vlog all this. I'm not going back for a month, but just talking about how I'm feeling, what's been happening, and eventually when I do go in for being hospitalized, because she said it probably won't correct itself, it won't go away, because it looked from the scan that it's pretty stuck there. It's making it hard to enjoy this pregnancy, because me and my husband Josh have said that 2 babies is enough. We are having 2 boys, and after all this, I'm probably going to be like, I don't want to do this again. I've already had 1 baby who was a C-section, breech, and now this one has rare ass condition. Well, he doesn't. Oh, that's one thing I didn't say. Personally, he is fine. He's a goodish weight. He is small because the cord has a fair way to get to him. So he looks good, she said. But he is small, but it's not like a worry small. But he is gaining weight, which is good. And my health, personally, is fine. Everything is coming back normal or above normal. It's just great. It's just the inside of my uterus that sucks. But if you are watching this and you have just been diagnosed with Vasa, Previa, or if you're just curious about it, you're welcome to Google it and have a look at what it is, and try and insert images where I can. But that's been my pregnancy journey so far. From up until 20 weeks it was fairly normal, and now it's since 20 weeks, for the past 7 weeks, it's been, yeah. But I have in my head that it'll all be over anywhere from 8 to 9 weeks time. It will be over, because I have a C-section anywhere from 34, 36 weeks, depending on how things go. Personally, I'm going to probably go for 35, just to get this over with. It sounds horrible, but I feel like a ticking time bomb. So, with all these vessels running everywhere with blood, and with my baby's blood in it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm sorry about the tears.